Guys, I have had a day. Turns out the end of the world is exhausting. But on the upside, this Bloody Mary is probably a good half full of just vodka. And it's very possibly the best one I've ever made. Chaos is the mother of invention, or like whatever quote that is. Like, if you know the quote, let me know. I don't know the quote, but didn't really have a lot of tomato juice left, and I was like, well, I need more in there than what's in there, and I've had a day, so I'll just fill it with vodka. And I'm always like looking for the ultimate Bloody Mary recipe. I'm like, oh, I'll use different hot sauces other than Tabasco, you know, vary the amount of lemon juice in there, put a bunch of different stuff in there, but I never alter the amount of vodka, because I'm like, it's a sacred thing, you know, you put in like measures of it, and I've never messed with it. I'm not one for a free pour, you know, but I just threw the bottle in there, and now this is delightful. I'm always gonna do like this now, even if we survive the plague. So it is the end of the day, like I finished working for today and I'm at home, but it is still officially my lunch break, because I worked through my lunch break and then had to subtract the time at the end. So I reckon now is as good a time as ever for a good lunch break book chat, shall we? I'll do my normal thing. If you haven't seen them before, my lunch break book chats just have like a bit of a chat about what I've read this week, what I'm looking to read next week, any new acquisitions that I'm in the middle of, you know, and such. And this week I have mainly been working on Dewithon, which is the Wales themed readathon, where we read books that are to do with Wales, like either set in Wales or based in Welsh legend or by people from Wales or people who live in Wales. But it's been really, really good. I've been really enjoying it. I really like Welsh literature, and I don't really get to it as much as I want to. The only thing about it, I think, is that it's quite dark. Or like, not so much dark, just like intense, you know, like it's not very like trivial, like it's always like very deeply felt and like emotional, and like it's just very intense. So it's not the best thing to read like when the world is ending, is what I'm finding generally. I've had to sort of like retreat into other things just for sanity, but I do really appreciate something that, you know, gives me the feels in terrible times. So I've been loving it. I finished 3 of them this week. The first one was fantastic, and it's part of a series, and I'm so glad I found the series, because I'm going to read lots of them from the series from now on, if I can get my hands on them, because I think my local bookshop is looking to shut down for the foreseeable future. But anyway, it is called The Dreams of Max and Roni by Niall Griffiths. And this is part of the series New Stories from the Mabinogion. So it's based on the idea that it's sort of new, sort of modern retellings of stories that occur in the Mabinogion, which is like a collection of sort of Welsh legends and Welsh sort of storytelling tradition, all sort of collected into one. They're sort of like medieval stories, sort of as a compendium collected together. And each of the stories, like some of them are like original King Arthur stories, you know, like sort of the beginnings of King Arthur. Some of them are about sort of other Welsh figures, like Dewithon, who is a woman made of flowers, you know. There's loads of warriors, you know, Celtic tradition, gotta have a lot of like really badass people who fight for no reason. But this one anyway, so there's like a series of them, a bunch of these. This one is based on 2 stories, one of which is Ronaboi's Dream, and one is The Dream of Maxim Ledig. So Ronaboi's dream is this guy who like goes into a deep sleep and then has like a really crazy dream about stuff. Like, I don't really remember that one too well, but the other ones, there's 2 stories in here. The other one is The Dream of Maxim Ledig, and I remember that one really well. So the original story is about this Roman emperor guy, or this like leader guy, who has a dream about a woman that he wants living in Britain, and he's got to like go and like get the woman or whatever. It sounds a bit rapey and like very against Me Too, but it was quite cool, you know, like he's like in love with her, he's got to like go get her. But anyway, the Niall Griffiths, he actually wrote a book I think called Stump or something like that, And that won, I think, Wales Book of the Year one year, or was like on the shortlist or something. So him as an author is already sort of on my radar, and I didn't know that he had written part for this series until I saw it. But the idea of these like retellings, the Renat Boy's Dream one is Ronnie, this like squatty guy. So he's in like the British Army in sort of early 2000s when the Iraq War is sort of getting going. And he's about to ship off to Iraq, and he and his mates go to this like woman's house and get drugs. They're like, oh, I really need to sleep. I need to have a really good solid sleep before I ship off. So she gives one of them crazy strong sleeping pill, like some sort of like horse trank or something. And he like falls asleep on this like fuzzy cow blanket and has the craziest dream. But like the dream itself is really, it's like really political. It's sort of one big analogy for Britain, like society and military and government and politics at the time of the Iraq War, when it sort of started going. So you've got like a bunch of people who are in the dream who are sort of representing key people and the decisions to go. You've got like a really crazy like chatty guy who's supposed to sort of represent like a bloodthirsty public, and it's just really well crafted, like all of the analogies and everything, and what the author's saying is just like really brutal toward like, you know, the decisions that Britain made like militarily and politically at that time. And he sort of said at the end when he's sort of talking about it, he's like, I didn't realize that I was so angry. Like, I didn't realize that I was going to be so like caustic and like intense going after this until I wrote it, and then realized. But I thought it was really clever, really well written. I think like, so my dad was in the army for a while, and he was like in the army at this time in the American army, and he's not like particularly like, he's definitely like a Republican, you know, he's on the right side politically, not the left. So I don't know if he would appreciate sort of the stuff about sort of going against the idea of going into war, but the rest of it I think my dad would really like. Sort of the sort of talk of the squatties, you know, like what they say to each other. They're really funny, like they sort of have banter with each other. In the dream there's a lot of banter and sort of like comical type characters. So anyway, I would really, really recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. The second story as well, where the sort of drug kingpin in Cardiff falls asleep and sort of dreams of this woman in North Wales, and his like his homies have to like go and get her. Anyway, I really liked it, and I'm definitely going to read like loads more of these. It's a full series that sort of represents all of the sort of stories in the Mabinogion. There's one called The Meat Tree by Gwyneth Lewis. White Ravens by Owen Shears, The Ninth Wave by Russell Cullen-Jones. There's just loads of them, and I'm definitely going to get more if I can. So, the next one that I finished is a bit of a cheater. Like, I always put them down on Goodreads as actual books that I read, so it looks like I've read absolutely loads. But loads of the ones that make up my list of completed books are like this one. That's cheating, right? So this one is a collection of poetry. I found this book after listening to this poet read out some of her stuff at the Saran Poetry Festival, which I went to because I went to go see Bert from Past Story Time read some of his stuff. Hey Bert. But like after I sort of saw her as well, like all of us, like Tina, me, Bert, we all just bought this book anyway because it was brilliant. So she's not from Wales, but she lives in Cardiff now, and quite a lot of her poetry is about, you know, Wales and being in Cardiff and everything now. And she read this one, like it's not in here, I think it was like a new one that she read, to do with sort of coal and Wales and Cardiff and everything. I thought that was brilliant. But the one I think in here that I loved the most was like the very last one. Annoyingly, it took me the whole thing to get to the best bit, called West, and it's about like going from England, like driving from England to Wales, and it's just like, I don't know, I love when sort of really normal things you do all the time, things you never think about. I love when people take them and turn them into like really like gorgeous poetry. Sort of, the thing's just called West, you know, like going west, you know, cast off these new Latin vowels, steady yourself, you know. I just really liked it. She's a really, really good poet, and I'm really excited for her next one to come out, because I think the next one's going to have that one in it that I really liked, that she sort of teased when she read that. So that was Emily Cockrell, The Day of the Flying Ants. That was really good. So the last one that I finished is The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper, and I think 9-year-old me would be very impressed of 32-year-old me for having finally read this damn book. Okay, as you can tell from the $2.99 price tag, what costs $2.99 anymore? This is a book from the 90s. My mother bought me this book, I think, thinking that I would read it, but it just joined my shelves with all the other books I never quite got around to, because I've always been a book hoarder, so where's that? But it's a Newbery Honor book, and even though The Dark is Rising, this particular one isn't very like Wales related, it's part of a series that is, in the end, and some of the sort of later books in the series become more sort of Wales related and sort of like based in Welsh mythology and stuff. So this one sort of deals with my favorite kid book trope, which is the chosen one. People say it's tired. I say you're tired. It's amazing. I love a good chosen one. But this kid, he lives in Britain, and he's got like loads of brothers and sisters, and he's like nothing particularly special, you know, he's just very ordinary. And then suddenly realizes that he's like one of the old ones, like one of these people that is like destined to sort of be a powerful being sort of in Britain and sort of save the world and all this sort of stuff. And he sort of finds this out by, on his 11th birthday or something, he sort of goes outside, and this sort of path into the past, into sort of like medieval times or whatever, when where he's living is a forest, and it sort of opens up like a door, and he sort of goes in, and he keeps sort of like coming up against the dark and these like really dark figures that are sort of fighting against him. He doesn't know why they're fighting against him until it's like revealed that, you know, that they want to kill him because he's like a special guy. He's like one of the old ones. Anyway, it's got loads of really good characters, and they sort of go on the lookout for these like special like magic pieces, so these like magic brass rings or whatever, these like metal circles and stuff, and he's got to sort of have them with him, and he's sort of coming into like these powers that he has, these sort of like mind powers where he can like stop and start fire, you know, with his mind and stuff. So I think this book itself, like maybe not the best book. It was a bit slow, and sort of now when I think about it, there wasn't a lot, like a whole hell of a lot going on, you know, but I can see how probably the other books in the series, which were like award winners, like hugely, the other books in the series are really famous, like The Grey King is I think the most famous, and they have loads of awards and stuff, and I can see how this is sort of building up for that one to be really good. So even though I didn't absolutely love this one, I think I'm probably going to read The Grey King anyway. The Gay King. That's my friend Grant. Anyway, The Grey King, I'm probably going to read that anyway if I can do. But, so that one was really good. I'm really glad that I finally read that one. So those ones I finished. Now, the ones that I'm in the middle of, I'm gonna, just a second. Jesus, I'm gonna need more of this. That's going down really fast, isn't it? It's way too fast. It was not acceptable. Anyway, the two that I'm in the middle of at the minute, one is Glass Navel by Man and Stefan Ross. This one won the Wales Book of the Year for a Welsh language book, so it's in the Welsh language, and I'm desperately getting through it. My Welsh is not very good, but I'm working on it. Like, don't look at me, I'm disgusting, like, don't judge me. But I'm slowly making my way through it. See? I'm good. I'm doing good. And to be fair, quite a lot of my barriers to reading this one aren't so much that it's in the Welsh language, so much as emotionally I can't face it in these dark times. It's about the apocalypse. So there's like a nuclear apocalypse where loads of bombs are dropped on the US and Britain. It just basically you know, I think probably just globally it sets the world back, you know. There was this like nuclear gas cloud when something sort of blew up the nuclear power station on Anglesey, and they're living in North Wales, so it sort of affected them, and this like green cloud of like nuclear radiation sort of came at them and made them really ill for just weeks, but they survived. And they've managed to sort of survive since then. Like basically everyone is dead and they've never seen anybody, you know. It's just this like 14-year-old boy and his mother and his baby sister. And they're just doing their best to sort of survive. And like really beautiful, it's like really beautiful ideas of like, you know, how the world would be if this happened, you know. Sort of nature is coming back, and the mother feels like it's a better time to be alive than before this sort of nuclear disaster because it's simpler, it's more beautiful, you have more time to think and, you know, appreciate what you have, you spend more time with your family and sort of all this stuff. But also a lot of grim shit happens. Like, I'm just in case you do speak Welsh, or just in case they translate this into English and you end up like reading it, I don't want to tell you what happens. But it gets more and more grim. And Shan from Pastory Time has warned me, and she was like, don't read that now. You know, it's just gonna put you down. And it has done. And I'm still gonna finish it because I'm so close. And I do want to know what happens. There's like loads of mysteries. Like the 14-year-old kid is like suddenly realized that babies come from sperms. So his baby sister must have also come from sperms. So there must have been a father for the baby sister, but he's pretty sure he and his mother haven't seen anyone for a good, you know, 7 years or so. So he's confused about that. And now I am also confused and need to desperately know, you know, about this father. But I can just see it's going to be like way grim. And as our own personal times just get more grim, I don't know if I can take it. I need more drink. This one that I'm in the middle of actually has nothing to do with Dewithon, which is fair because I need a break. But it's to do with Sean and Bert's book club, the 1990s book club called My So-Called Book Club, and I'm so happy that this exists. Just for the gifts coming out of the Boxer group alone, this was the best decision I've ever made joining this 90s book club. So our first book is terrible. It's the most terrible book that I could ever think of, but as I'm reading it, I'm finding that it's actually not terrible. It's actually really good. I'm really enjoying it. And I feel like it really like matches my mood for the time. Like it's not pulling me under like a lot of books, and it's not sort of like, I don't know, superficially like livening me up like a kid's book would do, because it's also about a great March and I'm also doing that. But I feel like it's sort of like a perfect balance. It is called Ruby by V.C. Andrews. So I thought that I had like a serious problem with V.C. Andrews because after Flowers in the Attic, I can't trust her for shit, okay? She did me a dirty, and now I hate her because I hate that book. But also, realizing now that she has about 8,000 books, and that quite a lot of them weren't actually written by her. They were written like by her estate or whatever. You know, I'm suddenly like, okay, you know, ready to mingle, you know, with V.C. Andrews books. So when Britt was like, the first one should be a V.C. Andrews book, Ruby, I was like, okay, I'm in it. And it's so good. Okay, so the idea is basically there's this girl, Ruby, and she lives in the bayou in Louisiana. And I guess like 50s or 60s. I think she was born in the 40s and she's like about 15 or so. Anyway, she's quite poor, and her grandmother's like one of these like mystical healers or whatever, like midwife slash like spirit chaser or whatever. And it's so good. Like her grandfather just like lives in a shack deep in the bayou and like brings them muskrats or whatever every once in a while, but also he's a drunk, so it's like he's like been banned from the house by the grandmother. So I don't know what's gonna happen, and part of me like doesn't want to know. Like I want to be just as surprised about the ending as I was about how good like the beginning is gonna be. So I haven't even read the back. I'm just going in it. I'm going in it hard. I'm not interested in hearing anything about it. If anyone has like, you know, info that they want to relate to me, like first of all, if an animal dies, you know, or like something like that, I probably need to know that because I'm going to need to protect myself emotionally from that. But other than that, you know, I'm just going in hard and I'm going in blind. You know, I need this in my life right now, and thank you, bird, because this has saved me. Okay, so just quickly, sort of the books that I'm looking to read coming up sort of next week and so. So it's the last couple weeks of March. I'm doing a middle grade March and also Dewithon. So the next sort of Dewithon books I'm looking to read are 3 that I have left still on my TBR, like the ones that I said I was going to read for March. I've got 3 of them left. But also, when I realised how dark and intense my Dewithon thing would be, I went in search of something maybe a bit more cheerful, but also Welsh related because it's Dewithon. And I found this, which is The Accidental Pirate, Voyage to Magical North by Claire Fairs, who I think lives in South Wales, or is from South Wales, or something. There's some sort of South Wales connection. And when I went to my local bookshop to get it, it's signed. Delightful. So loads of people have said this is an absolutely phantasmic book. It's a middle grade one. Sometimes legends just happen. Abandoned as a child, Bryn Seaborn has spent her life as a servant for an irritable magician and his obnoxious apprentice, until the day she runs away to sea and is captured by legendary pirate ship The Onion. The pirates are on a quest to find Magical North, a place so mystical that most people don't even think it exists. If Bryn is lucky, she may find out who her parents are and why they left her alone. And if she's unlucky, she'll be eaten by sea monsters. It really could go either way. Love it. I'm so excited. This is going to be fantastic. I'm hoping to get to this one this month as well, while also getting to the 3 I have left. Welsh Quilts by Jen Jones. This is going to be soothing to my soul because I'm in a dark place at the minute. And this is just going to be about sort of like various Welsh quilt traditions and patterns and like the history and stuff. I've had a look through it and the pictures are delightful. And like, what could be like more soothing in dark times than just like the history and tradition of quilts? I'm hugely excited about it because the other 2 are slightly more grim, just slightly. This one is about like drugs and partying and crazy stuff in Cardiff. It's Things That Make the Heart Beat Faster by Jao Morais. And I think it's gonna be really good, like really good writing. I've had a look through it. Really good writing and really good like dialogue and banter and stuff, but I think it's gonna be a bit grim. And this one is the group book for Dewithon, the one that everyone in Dewithon reads. Sean's already read it, said that it's super grim. And my friend David in work read it, said it was fantastic and he loved it so much. But he lent it to his mother, and his mother not only stopped it halfway, but yelled at him for recommending it to her. Like, this is so grim. I'm gonna need to have like mental health therapy now. Thanks for that. But it's about like a kid, I think, who has to deal with his mother having some sort of mental health problems or something throughout his childhood. And it just gets grim as shit. But it's like a Welsh classic. So it was originally written in Welsh. I think it's called Un Nos Sonliad Ola or something like that, like One Moonlit Night. And it's really well regarded as like a masterpiece. Like, you know, it's a gorgeous writing. But it says compellingly earthy and maddeningly gothic. Basically, that's like literature talk for smack your head against a wall because you're gonna cry. But anyway, I'm still pretty excited about it, even though I know how grim it's gonna be. Maybe I'll like do one of them, you know, and then read this to recover, and then do this one, and then read this one to recover, and we'll see how that pattern goes. But anyway, that's my book chat for today. I apologize if it went really long. I don't really know how long it's gone. Like, I've sort of blacked out and then come out to the end. But thank you for watching. I hope you're having a better time of the end of the world than I am, and I very much hope that you stay safe and sane. I'll probably be back this weekend with a different video about something stupid, because trivial things are how we keep the world moving. Like, what do you think? Okay, anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any comments about any of these books, or you just want to sort of, I don't know, say something and make contact, I'm for it. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye, love you. Bye.